This is my fully electric 2021 Kia Niro, and over the next few weeks I'll be driving it on a full lap of Australia, passing through some very remote places. The charging won't always be easy, but it should be one incredible journey.
Oh my god!
It is the next morning now, 6:19 a.m. The sun's about to come up, although it's fairly light now. We're up to 54% state of charge, charging at 1.7 kilowatts. I turned the power down a fair bit to plug the car in. I'd probably be fine fuse-wise. I think it might even be a 15 amp fuse, but I don't want to melt my Kmart extension cords by pulling 10 amps even. I spent quite a few hours last night sort of setting everything up to be able to sleep in the car and rearranging and shuffling a whole lot of stuff. It was difficult, but I got to a point where I could sleep in the car, even though I had to have a few things outside, but that's probably not a big deal. And I think it should all easily fit on top of my bed back again today. I've put this big power bank on the driver's seat here. The driver's seat also had to be all the way up, as far forward as it can go, in order to fit my bed. So there's not a lot of space there. The drone and my tripod and a few other things are in the footwell, so I definitely have to shuffle things before I can drive again. Around here we now have the fridge, which unfortunately was fairly loud last night in the car. I don't know how well you could hear that. That's sort of the sound it makes. Maybe it comes out of there. And then I have non-perishable foods down there, as well as the passenger seat headrest, which I took off there. I can't remember why I did that, but I'm sure there was a decent reason. I also have these homemade window shade things. They didn't work super well, but they did block it out a bit. And back in here, this is my bed. I actually started with the pillows over there and had them there for most of the night, but then I thought I should move them down there to just get a bit further away from the fridge noise. But down there my head was lower than my body a fair bit, because it sort of slopes up here. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but it does. And it was all pretty tight in there, really. I had this cooking setup. This is a table it's sitting on. I folded the legs down last night though, and I cooked dinner on that last night. And then I had to just slide the table under the car to keep it dry. It said there was a chance of rain at 5 a.m, but it didn't rain. But anyway, I wanted to keep that dry. And then I left all my water here. I filled it up. I'm pretty sure by the taste it's Perth water, so I guess I can drink that just fine. And I didn't have room for it in the car, but that's where it is. And I put this ice cream container on the join between the two extension cords in case it did rain, because that's still going up there. And I have my 15 amp EVSE here. I've turned it down all the way down to 8 amps, pulling 7.4 actually. So it's been delivering 1.7 kilowatts for most of the night. I had it charging up my portable power banks and stuff in the evening while I was getting ready. And then right before I went to bed, I switched it to charge the car. So it's put 15 kilowatt hours into the car. Nothing crazy. I think it added 15% or something. That wouldn't be right. I was on like 30% or something when I plugged in. It's now 54, so it did add a bit. And that seems to have worked fairly well all night. The cable isn't even warm to the touch or anything, so I probably could have done a bit of a higher current and been fine. But that's okay. I think I will unplug this now and top my portable power bank up a bit more before I leave, because it's down to 43% and the solar panel doesn't really seem to be doing its job properly at this solar panel. It doesn't really seem to be giving a proper full charge to the power bank. So I'd ideally like to have a little bit more before I leave, but I still have to have breakfast and pack quite a few things up before I do leave, so it can top up a bit there. Took me longer to get away than I would have liked. It's now 7:30 and everything's really jiggling around. I didn't pack it in exactly in an organised way, but it's all in, and I figure I can improve as I go and probably pack up quicker in the future. But I'm now on the road. I'm going to head into town because I think it's meant to be a fairly nice beachside town. So I'll stop there briefly and then I'll have a look at where I'm going to go for the day. I want to try and keep doing the distance, so roughly 700 kilometers or something would be good to get done. I'm not sure exactly where I'll end up, but I have a whole lot of potential things I could stop and look at along the way. So I'll pull up Google Maps. There was terrible phone reception there actually, and very treed, so the Starlink wasn't going to work. So I'll pull up Google Maps somewhere with a bit better internet and have a look if there's anything else I want to see along the way. And I'll probably just sort of work my way up the coast, stopping at each one of those. I also do need to charge. I'm on 185 kilometers of range right now, so I can go for a bit, but I probably have to charge at the nearest charger to here, which I think is in the next town up going north, so that works out reasonably well. What speeds can we get on the Starlink? 150 odd. That's pretty good. So I think it'll work pretty well. Oh, you can't see it, but I've sat it on the dashboard here, and that way it won't keep falling off the back windscreen, and it should actually work better anyway because it's meant to be a bit flatter than it was on the back windscreen. Made it to the Indian Ocean. On the opposite coast of Australia. I'll kind of be following this for a while, so it's not really that special, but this is sort of the first time I'm seeing it. Well, I've seen it before also, but first time this trip I'm seeing it. I might be about to have a heart attack, but that's pretty cool. Wow. just arriving in Jurien Bay now, 4 minutes from the charger, but I can see sort of like a housing estate on the edge of it, so I think it's a decent sized town. So far today I've done 139.5 kilometres, so in fact a lot of that was just sort of detouring off to different places, so I haven't really covered much distance yet today. I've just been doing a bit of sightseeing, but it's only 10:30. I'll get a good charge, I'll have morning tea or something, and then I'll set off and try to cover some actual distance. But there's just so much scenery to stop and see, so I might do a few more stops, but we'll see. The car's estimating 43 kilometres of range left. If I quickly pull up I have to drop the speed as well, 13% state of charge. So we were on 54, I think, when I left the campground this morning. So I think it's definitely been useful having had that extra top-up charge, although I could have charged in the town with the sand dunes in it also. I have a shopping centre. And where is this charger? Oh yes, there's some transformers and there's the charger. There's always these nice big green transformers somewhere near a WA EV network charger, it seems. Well, not the super remote ones we've been using to start with, but the ones that are on the grid, on a grid, I should say, have these big transformers, so it makes them a bit easier to find. And we're back on the WA EV network. Haven't used one of these since sort of midday yesterday, really. We charged in that last town before getting into Perth. Then I topped up at the Ampol, then I've charged at the caravan park. So haven't used one of these in a little while. But I will go get plugged in. I think it's promising first try, I reckon. Nope, ended. Hold the plug steady. Third time was the charm this time. I really don't think that's all that good enough, but anyway, we are now charging and ramping up normally. I've now charged up to 85%. Speed is ramped down now. To be honest, I was kind of ready to head off again at about 75%, but I had a look at where the chargers were, and really there's no chargers until Geraldton, which is 227 kilometres away, and normally I would be perfectly fine driving 227 kilometres on 70-something percent. That would be okay, but I just do seem to have been getting fairly bad efficiency this trip, and there's no bailout options anywhere, so I wanted to make sure I could comfortably make it, and there's plenty of things I can be getting on with. I have a whole lot of work to do on my computer anyway, so I just opened that up for the first time in a while, really. And now we have 295 kilometres of range, so I actually kind of overcharged in the end because I got distracted. But it's now very much time to unplug and head off. I've had a look at the map a bit. I don't think there will really be any detours or stops other than stopping on the side of the highway to look at a leaning tree. But it's time to go. There were also some brief spots of rain on the windscreen, not all that long ago, and then the sun came out again, so the weather's a bit unpredictable, but if it does rain, efficiency might take a slight hit. Efficiency is actually 18.6 today, which is not bad at all. Well, it's about what I would expect for doing 110 on highways, but it's better than at has been this trip, and we shall head off to Geraldton. I've just seen a sign, and now some more signs here. Apparently the road is closed ahead. So it looks like Google was Google knows about this. I'm guessing Google's going to make me turn left in 700 meters and right, and then get on the main highway 1, because I'm actually on the coastal road, not quite the main highway for this portion. Geraldton is sort of where the two meet, where the highway I'm on and the main highway would normally meet, but the road is closed ahead. So that's why it was actually such a long stretch to Geraldton, is because normally you would just... Hang on, I have to focus. Yeah, turn here. Detour. Normally you would just follow this coastal road all the way to Geraldton, and it would actually be something like 30 kilometres less or something. I haven't worked it out exactly, but good thing Google knew about it, and Google told me that this extra kilometres was required for a detour, even though it never told me it was a detour. It just told me that's the way you get there. But now I have to go east a bit and rejoin the main highway, and then follow the main highway up to Geraldton, which then sort of curves over west to meet Geraldton. But all going good. I've got 246 kilometres of estimated range remaining and 174 kilometres left to get to Geraldton, so no issue. Getting back on the main highway 1 that circles Australia. I could have stayed on it the whole time, and it might have been slightly more direct, but I think the way I went was nicer and probably had some nicer scenery and stuff. I got to actually see the Indian Ocean. Well, I guess I would have later anyway, but I think that worked out very well. Another hour and 35 minutes to Geraldton. The remaining drive-in was fairly dull on Highway 1 inland, so I am glad I did at least the portion of the highway that was along the coast. I think that probably ended up being more interesting. It's quite a big town here. We're still 8 minutes from the charger and sort of very much in the town. Well, I guess the outer suburbs, sort of. A lot of quite nice houses as well. We have 49 kilometres of remaining range, and we are on 16%, so fairly lowish, but about what I was intending on. We've now covered 366 kilometres today. Speed is dropping again. We've covered 366 kilometres today, with an average efficiency of 19.6 kilowatt hours per 100. So not the worst we've had, but sort of in line with the best we've had, or maybe a few points worse than some of the best we've had. It's only 26 degrees now. Throughout some of the drive, it actually got as high as 30 degrees, I believe. And there's actual traffic lights and everything, so I actually have to pay attention. Wow. This is quite a large town. As I keep saying, I just wasn't quite expecting this. I think this is more of a city than a town. It's impressive. I shall plug the car in. Any guesses? Will it work on the first try? Or will it not work on the first try? If it doesn't work on the first try, will it work on the second try? Or will it be the third try? Or will it work at all? We've got state of charge and voltage. We're preparing. Still preparing. And it's charging. There we go. Cable's in the way. I've done another fairly long charging session again. This one wasn't really deliberate, but I walked down sort of the foreshore area to find a toilet and came back. And then I was looking for a place to stop tonight because it's 2:50. I always think 2:50, plenty of time, but actually if you add in a few more hours of driving time, by the time I'm getting there, it's actually kind of time to be getting in for the night. So I think the option now is, well, hang on, I'll share my screen. So we're at Geraldton now, and there's Northampton sort of just a bit up here. That probably has options. That's a town, but that's a bit close to Geraldton, so I want to go further than that. And then after that, there's not really any towns. So I think the best option is if you zoom in on the word meadow. I don't know if that's the name of an area or something. Then there's the Billabong Roadhouse, Billabong Homestead Hotel, and Billabong Homestead Hotel Motel. Apparently one or some of them have powered sites. There was no way to book, but I think I'll just head for there and go in reception and see if I can get something rather than trying to call them or anything. So I'm thinking that's the plan. If I quickly zoom back into it and just pick one of them, that's about 2.5 hours away, and it's almost 3 p.m. now, so if I set off now, that's from 3 to 4 to 5, 5:30ish, that's about right. I would have ideally liked to get into Monkey Mia, which is in here, but that's just going to be too many hours, so I'll do that in the morning, tomorrow morning, and then I'll have to loop back out to Hamilton Pool, and I'll continue up the main highway. Another option would have been to see Calibri National Park, however you say that, and that looked fairly nice, but I think there'll be more like that, and it's sort of a bit much of a detour. I feel like I'm sort of falling behind a bit. I need to try and cover some more distance because I've only done 369 kilometers for the day. So I'm going to skip that one, and I'm sure there'll be more similar in the future. And the plan is to just head straight there. I don't know why that's red. I guess it's just like a road train slowed down to turn in there or something. I don't think there's anything else really to stop at along the way, other than that's all in that national park, but I'm probably not going to go there. So I think I'll just unplug and head for there, and hopefully get a campsite and call it a night. I'm now only 8 minutes from, can't even remember the name of the place, but the place I was intending to stay tonight. So it's 5:15, I should arrive there at 5:23, so I think it's time to call it a night. In theory, time-wise, I could possibly push a little bit further, but I'm worried receptions and things will start to close, even to just go to the next place, because there's now quite a distance between places. For today, I've done 590 kilometres and there's 11 kilometres to go, so I will have done 600 kilometres, which isn't heaps, but still chipping away at it. And I think today was more just sort of getting used to the car camping setup for the rest of the portion of the trip. I'll get faster at packing up and packing down, and I got a bit distracted this morning with a whole lot of sightseeing, so I'm not too discouraged by the only 600 kilometres covered. And I was just looking at the map before. Once I get there, I will be about as far north as Brisbane is, so I'm definitely working my way up the country after having gone all the way across to Perth. And the efficiency has sat at 19.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres, so really about as good as we've seen for this trip. The temperature is currently 28 degrees, so I imagine it's warmish outside, which will be hotter than it was last night, hotter for setting everything up. But that's okay. I think I'll keep the air conditioner running in the car and try to keep all the doors closed as much as I can, just to keep it cool in here. Or I might, for setting it up, I might have to just turn the car off and let all the doors be open and let the car heat up, and then I'll turn it on for a while and try and cool it down before bed. And I did wake up at times yesterday, last night, this morning-ish, getting too hot, so I think I might even end up leaving the car on all night. Either that or leaving a window cracked, but I'll sort of suss out the situation when I get there. I'm also arriving with fairly low state of charge, 65 kilometres of estimated range and only 20% battery remaining. So I'll see if I get a 15 amp plug at the campground, I might get all right overnight, but it doesn't really add a massive amount. There is a off-grid DC charger, proper permanent solar one, I believe, installed at this location. So I can sort that out. I can charge up a bit with the DC charger maybe this evening, and then just top it off at the 15 amp plug, assuming I have one available. Hopefully it's a bit better than the setup I had last night, where I had to run a Kmart extension cord up a hill, so I was getting nowhere near 15 amps. Hopefully I have a plug right there and it's a 15 amp one. Although last night was very nice in terms of having really no one around me and lovely grass and everything. I don't think this is going to be quite as nice, but that's not an issue. I also don't think there's going to be reception for me here. Here we go, it's called Billabong in 5 kilometres. Next service is 52 kilometres. So we're very much out in nowhere now. It's sort of reminiscent of the drive a few days ago. I'm really seeing nothing but shrubs, larger shrubs, but shrubs all the same, and the occasional tree, the red dirt, one road stretching through it. I can see a solitary phone tower up there. I think it's only a Telstra tower though. I don't think I'll get any reception because I use the Optus network with actually a Maysim, but using Optus really. So I don't think I'll get reception. The Starlink's been working great. I've been streaming podcasts this whole drive with most of the time no reception, and it's been working really good on the dashboard. So as long as there's not too much tree cover at the campsite, I should have better internet than last night really. But we'll see how it all pans out. So I think I'm sort of up and out of the Perth surrounds now and more into outback. I'm really not familiar with this area at all, so it's interesting to see, but I think it will be pretty much like this for really a very long time throughout the rest of the trip. Probably until I get into Queensland coast, I would say. I mean, there'll be parts where I come into larger cities, large towns, more small cities sort of things, like Darwin, but I think a lot of it will be like this. Caravan park, where does that say? Red car, cafe, hotel, food all day, caravan park. Okay, I know I think there's sort of like 2 or 3 separate kind of entities in here. So I'm not really sure how it works. Take a break and stay away. Oh, I do have phone reception. So that's good. The motel has vacancy, if nothing else. Pretty sure this is the place that does campsites. Just paid and come in. $15 for the night. Absolute bargain, I would say. But I've come down away from the trees and away from the road, so should be more peaceful, and so that my Starlink can work as well as it can. And unlike last night, I should be able to plug into the 15 amp right now, draw full power all night. Got camp set up in the light. Got dinner going here. Stove's running off the power bank. Power bank's charging the bigger power bank, which is on the driver's seat. Main power bank's plugged in here. 15 amp EVSE is plugged in here and into the car. So I've got the car charging. I don't think I'm quite getting 15 amps. It's like 2.8 kilowatts or something. But it's pretty good. Don't know if you can read that. But it says 18% charging at 2.8 kilowatts, 100% in 23 hours, 50 minutes. So obviously it won't hit that. But I'll get something. I'll pretty much have dinner and go to bed. All the footage, my computer's gone to sleep now, but all the footage from the SD cards transferring to the hard drive. Everything's pretty good.